And I know you're not idiots anymore after watching this video. How hard should Jeff train? Harder, right? Say it with me. Jeff should train harder. How hard? Harder than last time. What does that mean? Coach Greg, and today I'm going to be responding to Jeff Nippard's new video titled, "You Need to Train Harder," my response to critics of my training style. So just to give you a background story, this is about me. I went on a debate with Mike Israetel about volume versus intensity, and we went over a lot of these different details relating to how hard should you really be training, how much volume should you be training. Now, Jeff Nippard originally did a video in regards to Iain Valliere, who said essentially, you're not training hard enough, start training harder. It's not all about volume, it's more about intensity. So I watched Jeff's video, and I watched the other Jeff's video, and I made my video, and I sided more with Iain Valliere over Jeff Nippard because I know that intensity is extremely important, and most people train like pussies. That is a fact. Most people train like pussies, including Jeff Nippard. Okay? So I'm going to get 100% into all of this, explain to you and prove to you, and I'm going to use Jeff Nippard's own research to support what I say, to prove I'm right. So let's get right into this. All right, I am not a doctor, but doesn't mean I don't know anything. I have my master's degree in kinesiology and research this stuff. Greg, maybe you're a little bit biased. Because I said, well, I look around at the gym and I see people all training like pussies. I don't say all, 90% say whatever, a lot, most, okay? They need to train harder. They're like, no, it's just the gym you're at. And I thought, well, that is a good point brought up by Mike and Omar. That maybe I am biased because, well, why not? I might have been biased. So I said, well, I'm going to start doing some research. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Nippard's video shows up saying you need to train harder. My response to critics of my training style. And I watch his video, which I love. Jeff did an amazing job of being impartial, neutral, and just summing it up. So Jeff did a great job here, okay? So kudos to Jeff. And at the end of the video, he referenced a video which was research-based from a year ago. So he had, in fact, posted a video from a year ago talking about, are you training hard enough? He literally did a video on it. So I'm like, boom, I'm watching that video. So I watched the video, and this is what they said in the video. That is, because Mike and them, it's all research. You can't say anything without research. So Jeff found the freaking research to prove I'm right, because I'm always right. Well, no, I'm only 98 to 99% of the times right. So anyway, I'm going to explain the research and explain to you exactly why I'm right. And I wasn't, in fact, biased at all. Zero bias. None. Sorry. Okay, so what they did in the study, I'm going to make it brief. They took 160 people and they said, yo, how much can you bench press when you train? Well, what weight do you use for a set of 10? You know, how much do you lift when you go train? For 10 reps. And they then took that number and said, ha, now we're going to put you to the test. You bench press that weight to failure, and we will see if you usually train harder or if you train like a pussy. What do you think the results were? They trained like pussies. Did everyone? No. How many people do you think did less than 10 reps with the weight they said they trained with?
So remember, there were 160 subjects in total. 0%, so not a single subject got less than 10 reps.
Zero. Everyone did at least 10 reps or more. So no one was like lying and say, oh, I could bench press 300 when they could only bench 200. Now listen to some of the stats here just to prove how much of pussies that most people really are. Worse than I thought. I thought people train like pussies. I didn't really realize even how much so. I was more right than I thought. So that means Mike Israetel and Omar, whatever gyms they go to, where they see everyone going past failure, that is not normal. They said, Greg, you don't even know your audience. You don't know anything about who you're talking to. I'm like thinking, well, I have 175,000 subs. and it keeps going up. Apparently, I must know something about them. Why are people watching my channel if I don't put out the content that makes sense to them? My stuff makes sense. Just because I don't back it up in a study, oh, I read it over here, oh, I read it over there. Do I have to say, if I say the earth is friggin' flat versus round, I don't say the study, then it doesn't mean I'm wrong in what I say? That's what people seem to think now. If you can't reference a study, then it's not a valid piece of information. That is so stupid. It just doesn't make sense. I also am 44 years old and have been training 34 years. I know what I'm saying. Anyway, let's get back to this study. 22% did 10 to 12. That is the group of people who are training hard. 22%. 1 in 5. 22 out of 100. 200,000 out of 1,000,000 people train what I call hard. That's within 2 reps of failure. Next, 31% between 13 and 15 reps. Those are people training moderate. Not horrible, moderate. Training like Jeff Nippard, in the moderate range. Not bad. You're still going to make pretty decent gains, just not great gains or optimal gains or ideal gains. Doesn't mean you're like totally pathetic, but you're like, you could benefit by training harder. Let's be honest, okay? The next group, 21%, 16 to 18 reps they could have done with their sets of 10. That's a warm-up set to me. A bench press, oh, I can only do 10 and I stop 6 to 8 reps shy of failure? Warm-up set. And this is pathetic. 26% could do 19 or 20 or more reps. This all RPE stuff, that's like a negative RPE.
And if you think about it, depending on how you define RPE, the subjects who got more than 20 reps, so they were leaving more than 10 reps in the tank, technically training at a negative RPE, an RPE less than 0. This applied to 13% of the study subjects.
How hard do you train? Oh, I hold back 10 to 15 reps in the tank. You know, I don't want to get sore. I have to train chest in 3 days. Heaven forbid I get tired. Heaven forbid my muscles get a workout. I'm just in here to flex and look at girls. I don't want to actually train. That's how a lot of people are trained. 40%. 4 and a zero, 40%. That's almost half are training with an RP of 4 or lower. 4 or lower. 4. When I'm in the gym with pneumonia on a deload week, I train harder than that. If you're training that pathetically, unless you're a pure beginner, then you're wasting your time. You're just in there, well, not really wasting your time. If you're going there to check out the girls, so be it. You're going there to get away from the house, your wife's yelling at you. Go to the gym and just pretend to work out. Nothing wrong with that. You're going to meet up with people, hang out, flirt a little bit. That's cool, but you're not going there to build muscle. Let's be honest, okay? It's that simple. Oh, and you might be thinking, yeah, but the people in the study weren't really focused on building muscle. 76% of them, their main goal was hypertrophy, which is to build muscle. So they were there to build muscle, and yet most of them weren't even training in a zone to build muscle. So if you want to quote the Mike Israetels and the Jeff Nippards, if you're not training within 3 reps of failure, you're certainly leaving a lot of your goals on the table. Your hypertrophy zone is not high enough. You're not working out hard enough. So you need to be within 3 reps of failure to kind of get a decent working set, like what I call a set that actually going to actually build some muscle on your body. Should be within 3 reps of failure, unless you're a total beginner. Then you look at the weights and you grow. You do 1 rep with a bar and you groove a little bit because your body is so undertrained and so not used to the stimulus that you grow. But when you get more advanced, I'm advanced. If I do an RP at 8, that's going easy. That's pussy training for me. I need to train hard. That's a deload week. If I'm not going anywhere near failure here, that's deload, okay? So that's the proof that you need that Jeff backs up what I said with research saying we do not, on average, train hard enough. Does that mean nobody trains hard? No! People train hard enough, just not most. It seems like every time I say something, people like try to twist what I said. I say, train harder. How hard? Harder. How hard? Harder than last time. How hard is that? Harder than the time before. Does that mean you need to go all out and cheat curl and swing the rep and do forced reps and a triple drop set and go to freaking absolute failure beyond failure every single set? No, harder is one more rep than last time. It's a half a rep more than last time. If you train and you held 5 reps back in the tank, you know who you are. You're watching my video. How hard did you work out last time? How hard? Tell me. Come on, go ahead. How hard did you train? Not as hard as you could have. Exactly. You could have gone harder. Next time, go a little bit harder. If you just started and you went and you had an RP of 1 and you left 9 reps in the tank, harder doesn't mean next time I'm going to do a 100-pound bench press for 20 when I did it for 10 last time. Harder means 11. You did 10, now do 11. That's harder. Harder means a little bit more effort than the last time. I'm not saying you need to train like a freaking fool every single time you train and cheat and use bad form. Harder. Increase your time under tension. Slow the rep down a little bit. Focus on the squeeze at the top. Pause at the hard part. It doesn't mean go nuts. It means train harder. I don't understand how confusing that statement had to be for thousands of people that write in and don't understand what harder means. Harder than last time. More work. Just do a little bit more, bit harder. So for example, Jeff in his video is saying, I'm thanking my audience for telling me that maybe I should take a look at my own training. Am I, Jeff Nippard, training as hard as I should be? Maybe I'm reading too much of the studies saying, an RP of 1 to 3 reps from failure. So in other words, I call it, you leave some reps in the tank. RP. People get confused. How many more reps could you do? Well, if I had $1,000 for every rep you could have done, how many more would you have done? That's what I use. If you say, oh geez, you would have paid me $1,000 per rep, I would have done 10 more reps. I've got 10 grand on the spot. That means you train like a pussy. Boom, done, simple. You don't need the scientific analysis of how hard you're training. $1,000 a rep, how much more? If you did 405 for 10 on the deadlift and I would have paid you $1,000 a reps and you said, well, for that I would have got 11, maybe even 12. Then you trained hard because you were within 1 or 2 reps of failure. That's pretty intense. If you went truly to failure, you couldn't have done any more reps. And I'm not talking about if you hitch the weight or if you bounce the bar off your chest or if you swing the thing up and it just looks like ridiculous training. That is cheating. That's beyond failure. I'm talking about with good quality form and technique like I use in my training. That is hard training, okay? Jeff could do more. He just looked at his training and said, well, maybe I'm not training hard enough. So figure it out. Look at your own training. Are you, in fact, training hard enough? Talking more specifically about Jeff specifically. Smart man, learning from watching. Learning, that's the most important thing. I noticed a lot of my subs are learning and they're less moronic. I find less of my subs are idiots now. I'm reading the comments and they're actually taking in some information and gathering and using it. And they're becoming smarter. They're complete morons at first, and then they're turning into just idiots, and the idiots are even starting to get it and are becoming like less of an idiot. It's amazing. Still plenty of morons there. Trust me, I still read all the comments. I still spend 15 hours a day on this. There's less idiots, but there's still plenty out there, and I'm getting new subs, and obviously the new subs are morons, and they haven't learned all these things yet. So in time, they will be educated, and they will be less moronic, I'm hoping. So Jeff is like, I looked at my training and one of the problems I'm doing is I'm filming myself to do content for my YouTube videos and it's decreasing my intensity. He could be so hyper-focused on putting out the best contest, the best form, the best everything, that he's lacking the intensity. It's maybe like, I just got to make sure I do this set and film it properly and get the right angle. Maybe he's resting too long, what have you. And it's leading to less than intense workouts, okay? So he's openly admitting maybe he's not training quite as hard as he should be, and he has the research to support that most people aren't. So all he has to do is ask himself. So Jeff, next time you're in the gym, For $1,000 a rep, how many more reps would you do? Maybe Jeff isn't motivated by money as much as some of us. For $25 million a rep, how many more reps would you have done on your max deadlift attempt? 5 more or more. I want to see Jeff do his best attempt on a deadlift because he can lift a shit ton of weight. Jeff is a strong guy and he's natural. So many of these haters writing that he's not natural. Stop saying he's not natural. Jeff is natural, okay? I want to see how much he can lift because he obviously has a lot of strength and he's natural. And please follow his channel and don't insult him. Just watch his channel, okay? So I challenge Jeff to see how much can he actually rep out of it. I don't want to see his 1 rep max. I want to see like 405. Maybe he can get 11. Maybe it's 12. Let's see. For $25 million a rep, how many reps would Jeff do at 405? That is motivating. I don't care how much money you have or how much. That is pretty motivational to most people. So let's see it. That means all out, okay? If he could have stopped 5 reps shy of that, that's training like a pussy. I want Jeff to start training hard. He's at an advanced level. He's not a beginner. He's not intermediate. He is advanced. He will get more results by training harder. And I know you're not idiots anymore after watching this video. How hard should Jeff train? Harder, right. Say it with me. Jeff should train harder. How hard? Harder than last time. What does that mean? Does it mean he needs to do 20 reps with bad form when he only got 10 with good form last time? Nope. 1 more rep would do it. Then the next workout he goes in, he could try 1 more rep yet again. Harder. That's how you train. Oh, but you need to have a deload week. If he gets injured, he can get a deload week. If he's going on vacation, he can get a deload week. If he's traveling, he can have a deload week. You can't always go crazy hard on haul all the time. I get sick sometimes. You can't go all out. Anyone that could use a deload, I'm probably that guy. I train really freaking hard, harder than probably 99.9% of people. I'm the one that could use the deload. What are my deloads? Do I just do nothing? No, I train, let's say, very hard as opposed to crazy hard. That's still a deload. It's still taking a break, okay? It's still easier than I'm used to. Mentally and physically, I feel better after the deload. I spent an entire week in Mexico, deload week. Did I still train good? Yeah, I trained half the volume of normal and not really any all-out sets to failure and drop sets and stuff. So I feel rejuvenated. I'm ready to kick some butt at the gym again. Oh, but it's because you're on so much anabolic. Because everyone knows if you're on test, you don't even need to train or work out or do cardio. You don't even need to make your bed in the morning. It's magically your bed gets made. Woof! It's made. You wake up in the morning, your whole kitchen's clean and breakfast is on the table. Anabolics are amazing. Everything in your life is done for you. That's what people literally think. Literally, they think it. I don't understand how they're that stupid. People are morons. They think that if you take a supplement, you don't have to do anything and you look like me within a day or two. If it's bad genetics, it might take you a week. That's what people think. Morons, stupid morons. Jeff gets into some research, which Mike Israetel also believes in strongly. I'm gonna explain to you how that research is not really valid for everybody. Okay, so is training to failure any better than, say, training to 2 reps from failure? Well, some research says yes, and some research says no. There is studies out there that says that if you train to failure, you're going to get less results, as in less muscle growth and strength and so on, than if you hold back a little bit. 1 or 2 reps, maybe 3 from failure. So in other words, don't quite train all out, hold back just a little bit because you get more muscle growth. And there's studies that say the exact opposite. Train all out, it just gives you more muscle growth. That's just how it is, okay? Now, the problem is the studies themselves. How many of you think I was in the study? I wasn't in the study. How many of you think that anybody in the Mr. Olympia was in the study? Zero Mr. Olympia competitors in the study. What kind of people are in these studies? They're usually like university students with 6 months training, moderate intensity. They're probably natural, blah, blah, blah. So the studies are using your average Joe. How hard is your average Joe training? Well, rewind this video and watch, because we just did a study with 160 people and a bench press and how many reps in the 10 and blah, 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 blah. It was shown that most people train like pussies. That's the summary. That's the scientific conclusion, okay? That's my analysis of the research. So you take a bunch of people who train like pussies, and then you make them train all out to failure, $1,000 a rep, or hold back a little bit, 1 to 2 reps for failure. Well, guess what? Half of them are overtraining because now they're training as hard as me, and they're not used to it, and they're overtraining. So the results are less muscle. Of course it's less because they're training too hard. How hard? Too hard. Too hard is too much more than you're doing the last day. Oh, but quantify that, Greg. Well, how much is exactly too hard? Too hard is when you train too freaking hard. Simple, okay? Harder than last time is a little bit harder. We use the term progressive overload. What does that mean? Well, the scientific definition of that is train harder next time. It's so simple. People think that this is rocket science. It's not rocket science, is it, babe?
You're so loud.
I'm so loud and I'm recording at my girlfriend's parents' house. Oh. It just drives me nuts and I've lost all my train of thoughts.
Don't worry, your breakfast is ready.
But French toast is ready. How many French toasts do I get?
Well, it's homemade bread, so
Is it regular ass bread?
No. It's homemade, homemade in a thing.
Okay, I have homemade in a thing.
Like my grandma made it.
Grandma French toast. Grandma Josephine?
No, my
Nan.
nan.
Her nan. How old's your nan?
She's 91.
And she still eats bread.
Yep.
You heard it here first. She's 96 years old and eats bread. That's old, and she eats bread. All right. I did my own study. I coached people. Oh, but that doesn't count. So go with other people then. If you don't want to listen to me, there's other researchers. Feel free. Mike Israetel knows a shit ton of information. He has a PhD. I don't know if he had the highest average in his PhD. It's certainly 2 more years of school than I got. I only had the highest average in my master's degree. What is that useful? I don't know if it's useful. I studied hard. I researched. And I have a decent build. Look, still have muscles. Still working out. 44 years old, whatever. Anyway, believe me or don't believe me. Believe I have information or not. I've coached people. If you don't listen, don't believe me, go follow Chris Bumstead.
What's your opinion on the whole intensity versus volume debate? Intensity over everything, in my opinion.
Go watch some of Chris's videos on 40-second time under tension, on training intensity versus volume. Chris will back me up. Chris does this kind of stuff. Oh, you don't believe me on bulking? Look at his coach, Iain Valliere, who I used to coach. See if he's fat in his off season. See if he's bulking right now. Or is he, wow, I'm the leanest I've ever been in my off season. I'm making my best gains ever. I could list so many people to explain this stuff. You don't need to believe me because I don't have a study to say it. Look at the research. Most people don't train hard enough. Train a little bit harder. Put some effort in. Unless you're a crazy animal like me, chances are if you train harder, you're going to get better results. If you train as hard as I do, maybe you don't need to. Maybe. Analyze it. Okay? GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IFBB Pro. Follow me on Instagram. Subscribe, bell button, like, press every single button that you can and comment. And until next time, I am out.